Hello everyone, Mike Rempel from Excel Bytes with today's Excel Bytes blog post. Today I want to talk about tables, why I love to use tables as often as I can, the benefits of them, and how they make things much simpler when you're working in Excel. But before we jump into that, please take a minute to subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you hit the bell icon so you get a notice whenever I put out a new video. You can also find me at any of the social media sites you see here. So now let's check out today's topic. So here in the worksheet called Tables, I just have a plain data range, and I also have the same in the worksheet called Data Range. And in sheet 1, we're going to enter a couple formulas here so you can see the difference when using tables versus data ranges. To take a data range and convert it to a table, all you need to do is use the keyboard shortcut Control+T. So click anywhere in your data as long as you don't have any empty rows or empty columns to complete the way down. I'm going to hit Control+T. A dialog box pops up. It defines the range of my data, checks if my table has headers. I'll say OK, and now I have a table. And you can see now that I've clicked into it, table design pops up with a lot of different things that you can do with your table. First I have here is style variety. So if I click this drop down here, you can see all the different styles, or you can even customize your own. Or if you don't want to see any, you can just click the none option in the upper left corner and it just looks like your regular data. So you have a choice there of how you want your data to look. I'll just choose this one, which is often the default with Excel. You can ban the rows. It automatically provides filters, but you can uncheck that. It allows for a total row. So if I scroll down to the bottom and I check this box, it will add a total row that you can select different options. For example, on our price per column, I can choose average and it'll give me the average of that. Under quantity, I might want to choose sum so I can see the sum of all the items there. And notice when I scroll down, as long as I'm clicked within my table, the headers actually move up into the column letter row. So I don't have to use freeze panes to see what column I'm in as long as I'm using table. It will also automatically format any new columns or rows that I add. So if I go in and just want to put in another column, I'll just call this column 1 and hit enter. Notice it automatically formatted it like it. And if I go to the table design tab and look at resize table, notice it automatically included my total row at the bottom. Before it just said down to row 110. Now it says down to row 111, and it also includes column I because I've just added that. So the table automatically adjusts when you add rows or columns or when you delete rows or columns. It autofills formulas. So for example, if I say equals the quantity times the price per, I hit enter and it automatically fills that all the way down. And if I make a change, say I want to multiply this times 10%, I hit enter, it does that automatically to the rest of the rows in that table. You can also add slicers to your table. So again, by clicking inside the table, go to the Table Design tab, I can choose Insert Slicer. And I can pick whatever columns I want to be able to filter. I'll say OK. In this case, Excel generated 3 slicers for me that I can move around, I can resize, etc. And these allow me to easily filter my data without having to select the drop down, choose what I want, hit OK. So if I want to see just the data for Ed, I can do that and it will automatically filter only Ed in the sales column. If I want to see Ed in the North, and just for the models of Dodge, I click on my slicers, it automatically filters that data and makes it very simple. I can also click on this multi-select option here, and that allows me to choose multiple options within my slicer to filter that data. Now I'm looking at Terry and Ed, and if I choose South here, this is Terry and Ed in the South. So Slicers can be very easy, and it's very visible as to what you're selecting when you see your filtered data. And to clear your slicers, all you need to do is click that little red X in the upper right corner, and it unfilters your data. The last thing I want to show you here is how to create formulas when you're using tables as opposed to the standard method. So we're going to go over to sheet 1 here, and I'm going to enter a formula in cell K6, and I want to do a sum-ifs formula to pull in the data based on these criteria. Now if I go back to my table, click inside my table and go to the Table Design tab, you can see it by default named this table Table 3, but I can change that name. So in this case, I'm going to call it Sales. So now that's the name of my table. I'll go over to sheet 1 here, and in cell K6, I want to do a sum ifs. So I'm going to type equals sum ifs tab. My sum range is the sales table, square bracket, and the revenue column. Close that square bracket and hit comma. Next, my criteria range is going to be the sales table, square bracket, and I'm going to choose salesman, close that, and comma again, and my criteria is cell K2. I'll hit a comma. My criteria range 2 will be the sales table. I want to go region, close that bracket, hit comma, and my criteria then is cell K3. And lastly, the sales table, square bracket, I want to choose the model, square bracket, close that, comma, and the criteria is cell K4. Close my parentheses, hit enter, and without having to leave this worksheet, I can create a formula pulling data from another worksheet using a table without having to leave the worksheet I'm on. And the formula is much more logical. I can see I'm taking sales revenue as the column I want to sum, my sales salesman referencing K2, the sales region of K3, and the sales model for K4. It's all very logical, and I can see exactly what my formula is doing. As opposed to how you would normally build it with a data range, equals sum ifs, my sum range, go back to the data range worksheet, select this column, comma, I got to go back to sheet 1 here. Now my criteria range, I guess I could have stayed on here. My criteria range is going to be salesperson, copy that down, comma, go back to sheet 1, comma, go back to my data range. I want to pick the region, select that, copy it down, comma, back to sheet 1, the sheet name, select that, comma, then go back to my data for the model, choose that, comma, and then go back to sheet 1 again, choose the model, close my parentheses, hit enter. I get the exact same result, but look at how cluttered this formula looks, and it's hard to determine exactly what it is that I'm referencing within that formula, where when using a table, you know exactly the columns that you chose within your sum-ifs formula. So these are just some of the great benefits of using tables over standard data ranges. I hope you found this useful. Have a great day and happy excelling.